Hello, everyone. This is Brenda Godino with Team Puerto Rico at DNAngels here with another client story. Now, I know I've been gone for a bit. It's because I've been hard at work on a bunch of cases, and I've been trying to gather my thoughts to come back to you and tell you about the wonderful people that we help. Now, this person that I'm talking about, I am going to call her Grace. Now, Grace approached me on Facebook. And the reason she sought me out on Facebook was I had answered a question that she had been, that actually her stepmother had been inquiring on one of those genealogy sites. And I guess they liked the answer that I gave them. And I told them that if they needed my help to look me up on DNAngels. But she had not done her test on Ancestry, and she had done it with 23andMe. And they couldn't really read the DNA, but what was glaring right from the start was that who she thought was her bio dad was not her bio dad. And so this was, her dad's wife, which would be the stepmother. She was the one who had gifted them the DNA test for her husband, and then for Grace, who they thought was his daughter. But it was apparent that he was not bio dad. And it was very alarming to her because, very frustrating because, for the past 23 years, she had thought he was the bio dad because originally he was not who they said was the bio dad. On her birth certificate, she actually has another man who raised her till she was about 14. And when she was 14, she found out that he wasn't the biological father. And so the name was given for this man. And so for the next 23 years, she thought he was her dad. So already she's had two men in her life growing up, and both of them turned out not to be the one. The stepmother, like I said, had gifted them the DNA test, and even though she was really interested in DNA, she couldn't quite read what she was looking at. So when they approached me, they sought me out on Facebook, like I said, and I told her, I said, you have to take a Ancestry test. Now, mind you, I know she had already taken the 23andMe, but for us to help to work on their cases, Ancestry has the largest DNA database. Plus, they also have the software to help us build the genealogical and the genetic tree at the same time. And it just makes, for the researching and everything, a lot more easier and accessible. So when she approached me, I told her, take your test. And the moment you take the test, let me know, and I will begin to work on it. I immediately realized that she had some endogamy in her case. I always like to, give them a snippet of it, a screenshot of what, when we talk about endogamy, letting her know that from two of her lines, they actually all descend from the same great-grandfather. So sometimes, with that being the case, it makes the DNA, seem like they're in closer relation than they really are. So the sad thing about the DNA that she had was that it wasn't enough to get us close to where the bio family unit would be. We had a lot of DNA that was for the distant relatives. When we are working on a case and we, if they have all of the DNA that they need, then it's very quick, and really what takes the longest time is just putting together all of the work that is involved in providing them with the conclusion. Because there are times when we're just working in the case for a few hours, and within those few hours, we're able to determine who the bio parent is. But of course, to be able to explain it to the client, we have to have all our ducks in a row. We have to have the science that proves it, the evidence, that verifies it, and we just need to all the resources that we use, because we use, WADOs, DNA painters, lucid charts, Banyan, all of these things we use to compile this summary, so that they have all of this information when they go to the bio family to explain how it is that maybe, hey, you haven't taken a DNA test, but it just turns out that that distant cousin of yours did. And following that distant cousin has led me to you. So that's basically where we were at. We just had some distant DNA. So when that happens, sadly, it gets put a little bit to the back burner. It's not that we don't continue to work on it. Obviously, it's an open case. Excuse the helicopter that just happened to go by right this second, right? Okay, so it's gone. That's what happens all the time when you live in the city. So, and I think I lost my train of thought here. So, so when we have a case that is looking like it's kind of stalled, we tend to put it aside, and then what we have to do is we just have to start seeking out, this DNA from the other sites. So she had 23andMe, of course, we incorporated it, and then we asked her to upload to Family Tree DNA, MyHeritage, which at the time allowed you to do free uploads. They no longer provide that service. And then GenMatch. And GenMatch is a good one because it'll provide you like email addresses of the person. It doesn't provide like, like their names or anything like that, but at least it gives you, like a point of contact, quick contact, if they, if it's a valid email address for them. So that's what we told her to do. Of course, we still kept working on her case. We started working on the tree more, to looking at finding these people on reports, the actual background reports. We started to look for them, like on Google, on FaceLink, Instagram. And so that's what we started doing to her, looking to do more research in the tree that we had already built. And we had great grandfather, one of them, really set. And the last name was Acre. I know, very unusual last name, right? So this Acre line was very established. And so we had, like I said, some distant matches to the other lines that we were able to map out. We like to have a lot of DNA so that it really clinches for us, hey, you're definitely descended from this ancestral line. But it was very sporadic. But the one thing that we found ourselves was, there was this couple, the man who we thought was grandpa definitely was coming down this Acre line. And then on grandma's side, we had like no DNA attached to any of her siblings or any of her like cousins or nieces and nephews, nothing. She was just kind of floating there, but we did have DNA above her. And what was making it hard to research her was they were French Canadians. So, their last name was Rhodes. So we managed to find this Acre and Rhodes couple, but no DNA around them, right? So we still decided to build them up because it looked good. You have this couple that is married, and they're descending from these two lines. And so we're thinking, let's look at their children. Let's look at, their, the brothers and sisters, and see about their children as well. But we got stopped cold, because when we looked at this couple's children, they had some sons who were definitely in the vicinity, definitely of age to be bio dad, but sadly, 2 of them have passed away before they could have been bio dad to her. but they had this one son that everything just looked really good. And when we pulled up that son's photo, there was no mistaking that that was her bio dad. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of people's like, you can resemble, a lot of different people. But I am telling you, it was like if you took her picture, and I think the word is transpose, right? When you put it like over, it was like matching the features, the smile that they had, everything. They were the spitting image of each other. And I just couldn't let it go. Like that first night, I just was like thinking to myself, man, let me keep doing the research. Let me find some definitive DNA or something to let her know that this is indeed her bio dad. I just couldn't hold on to it anymore. I reached out to her. I said, I'm taking a great risk here, but I don't want to wait around for DNA to pop up to prove our hypotheses. I believe these are your grandparents, and I believe this is your bio dad, and this is, the DNA is distantly telling me that I'm in the right area, but it's just this one photo that made me feel like it gave me that push, that little edge. And I want you, we've gathered all of their Facebook links, we've gathered all of their reports for contact, and if you can reach out to them and maybe get one of them to target test, because it doesn't have to be this bio dad, you could go ahead and go to any of the other ones. Sorry about that. I don't know if it's a plane or helicopter. And so we told her, if you reach out to them and maybe possibly get somebody to target test, then we can find out. So instead of waiting for DNA to pop up, how about if you're willing to do it, go out there and try to get it. And within a day, she approached the bio dad, the one that we said was going to be bio dad. And he said, yeah, I remember your mom. Yeah, I remember her getting pregnant. And yes, I do believe I am your bio dad. I will send for a test today. Oh my God. And she's like ecstatic, over the moon, because you're talking about till she was 14. She thought she had, her real dad. And then it turns out he's not. Then for the next 23 years, she's raised by another dad who was an amazing dad. And the stepmom is an amazing lady, because remember, she was the one who got all this ball rolling for her. And you're talking about, her mom was already deceased, her grandma was deceased, her aunts were deceased. So she had nobody to ask, and she didn't know how to read the DNA. And even us, that we had not gotten to that specific moment where we like to have everything verified to tell the client, we decided, like I said, to take a big risk, and it paid off. So amazing. He's taking the DNA test, and I want all of you out there to put out some, oh God, do they have red flowers as emojis? Some red flowers. And hopefully it will bring her some good luck. And when she comes back, she will tell us that it has indeed been verified. So for now, I'm gonna go, and the next time you see me, I will hopefully have an update on her case. Bye, everybody.